All right, welcome back to Creative Pursuits. I'm Casey Parlette. I'm a professional sculptor in wood, metal, and stone, doing mostly wildlife work. But I'm excited to be joined by my friend Gerard Basil Stripling today, and he does some beautiful work, and I really want to dive into that, and we'll go and talk about your process and your
All right.
journey.
All right. Thanks for having me. This is great to, be on this and be a part of your journey too.
Yeah, well,
So,
we're all in this. We're all in this
yeah,
together.
right.
Now you were in the Fest of the Arts for quite a while.
Quite a while.
When did
Yeah.
you start?
I started in 2001, I believe it was. And I had moved to Laguna Beach in 2000 and did the Sawdust one year. And then after that, I did the Festival of Arts. I believe it could have been 2002.
Yeah.
And I was in that show for maybe 6 or 7 years, something like
Yep.
that.
Yep.
Even
I
eight.
remember when I started because I started in 2008. You
Hmm.
were still in the show at that point.
Oh yeah, so it
Yeah,
was
yeah.
probably
We had some
longer.
overlap
Yeah,
then. Yeah,
yeah, there
yeah,
was. Yeah.
yeah. Um, and then so did you? How did you get started in art? Have you always kind of done it, or what was your kind of your journey?
As a kid, I always loved art and wanted to be an artist, and I kind of took other creative pursuits instead of just going straight to fine art because I didn't know anyone that was a successful artist and or even that did it for a
Well, most
living.
people kind of try to dissuade
Right.
you from doing art for a living when you bring
Exactly.
it
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. So I did. Went to school for fashion design, and that kind of led to working on costumes and traveling. And when I was traveling, I actually found really cool inspiration for doing functional art. So I'd get back home in between the traveling, and I'd do like a clock or coffee table or something, and would put it into furniture stores. And that was just kind of like a little bit of a little taste of art, fine
Yeah.
art. But it wasn't until my wife and I we moved to Laguna Beach that I thought, let's try to do fine art. And that's when I entered the shows and started doing things that were just art, just something that wasn't functional. It just put it in a corner or on a wall and it was art. And just from there, um, the shows helped with being able to talk to people about your work and to be able to get like little small sales here and there
Yeah.
to pay for the next piece
So
and
it could
things.
kind of grow
Yeah,
organically.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it was really late in life that I really started it, but I had always had the passion to be an artist.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was
And so when you kind of start, so how old were you when you started at the festival?
uh let's see, that was probably 25 years ago. So
Yeah.
I'm 60 now. So
Okay. Okay.
pretty
Well, so it's
it's
a
kind of
mid. I guess
yeah,
that's not late in life, but I guess it's because some guys, you talk to and they've only done art and they've never done anything else. And
yeah.
like I was I've always, and again, I think anybody that's doing this is kind of has a compelled to do it, and you've done it for your whole life. But the business end of it is kind of a different animal than just making it,
Yeah,
you
it
know,
really is. Yeah.
and it changes some aspects of it. I mean, you have to kind of evolve with it in a sense, but like I had a day job for a long time doing the lifeguarding and all that stuff, which is
Mhm.
another thing I'm passionate about. That was
Yeah.
really cool, but it's kind of everybody's kind of got a different journey of doing it. Like I
Right.
talked to like Andrew Meyer. Andrew Myers was I talked to him the other day on the podcast, and he's done art his whole life,
Yeah. Yeah.
and he dove right in and made it
Good for
work, and
him.
it's and
Yeah.
it's and he's doing really well, and
Yeah.
so it's
Right.
just everybody's kind of got a different path.
Right.
Well, that's really cool. So did you start off because your work's primarily bronze, like like bronzes and stuff, right? I mean,
Yeah,
what?
mostly bronze. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And did you start off with that, or how did you,
No.
like, when you first started in the festival? Was it bronzes, or did it kind of evolve?
In the festival, yes, I did mostly bronze, but before then, I was experimenting with steel at first. So, like at the Sawdust, it was like small crafty things. So it was like vases and other objects like that. Just steel bar wrapped, and then got a piece of glass or something and mixed
Yeah.
them together. And then I was able to get a kiln, and I started doing steel and ceramics, and
Oh,
that
like
was
blended.
interesting. Yeah, like
Like,
different parts, like sculptures that were like kind of put together,
yeah.
with parts steel, part ceramic, and kept experimenting with that, and then kind of built myself up to really doing my first bronze work, and then from there I just really liked the flexibility of bronze, being able
Yeah.
to cast it, being able to use fabricated bronze, and just like there's so many different options you can go with
Yeah.
that. So um, but I haven't just stuck with that. Still use stainless steel and mild steel, sometimes incorporated resin for a period of time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm always like kind of experimenting and just trying different things.
Well, that's one of the
Yeah.
things I love about your work is there's a lot of creative process. There's a lot of experimentation. There's a lot of like variation between your pieces.
Yeah, it's
Like
like kind of a
it's
madman. Like who is it's like 50 different artists
yeah,
looks.
but
Yeah.
I mean, that's cool. Like it's like some people kind of find one thing and they sort of, whether they find it or they stumble into it or whatever, they find something that works. And then they just ride that donkey off into the sunset in a
Yeah.
sense, right? And
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with that, but that's to me, like I like having those creative challenges and to kind of continue to sort of try different things and experiment. And again, like I've got a whole pile of stuff that didn't work out that I tried. I mean, there's a, you know, I've had this jellyfish concept that I've been working on for probably 12 years now, and it's still just
Still just
a
jelly.
shelf of garbage that
Yeah.
basically isn't working out, you know.
Yeah.
But I think it's fun to have those things that kind of like, to kind of be working towards different things, different materials.
Yeah, for sure. You need to. Yeah.
Yeah,
I do notice that in your work, though. There's a lot of experimentation because of your use of the metal and wood. It's like maybe the theme is similar, but
yeah.
it's nice to see your work because you are experimenting.
There's some experience. Yeah, it's all wildlife. I mean, I guess the thread is it's all wildlife
Yeah,
related,
yeah,
and that's something that I've always
yeah,
liked and been drawn to.
yeah,
But no, it's definitely there's a inherently I think there's a lot, and with the different there's so many different techniques. I mean, especially like with the metalworking and stuff. There's so many different techniques, and each different technique kind of lends itself to a whole bunch of different possible pieces that you can make too.
totally.
You
Yeah,
know, so
right.
as you kind of start, as I kind of either learn or come up with new techniques, it kind of lends itself to a whole litany of different pieces that it can come out of it.
Yeah, it really does. It's like that different materials can do that, and then also like mistakes or setbacks. If you're
Yeah.
working on a certain piece and there's a problem with it, you have to correct it for that particular piece, but then
Yeah.
that problem feeds some other sculpture where you're going to go straight to
Yeah.
how that ended up, and that's a
Yep.
new sculpture.
Yep.
And I've had pieces where it's like a drop or cut off of one sculpture, and it just sits in my studio because it's an interesting shape, and I'll look at it for sometimes 2 years,
Yeah.
and then finally think, okay, it's this sculpture it
Are-
needs to happen now.
Most sculptors kind of have a little bit of hoarder in there.
Yeah. Oh
I
yeah.
definitely do. I mean, I've got I try to keep this space here sort of functional, but like I've got a storage unit that's basically looks like a hoarder's thing full of wood and
Yeah.
other parts and different things. I mean, you kind of, I mean, I guess it depends on the whole thing. Like I have some pieces where I come across the materials and the material sort of dictates the piece.
Mhm.
And so it kind of like I find it has a certain look to it, and it's like this is what this needs to be. And then other times I'll have an idea, and then I have to find the materials to be able to render
Right.
that idea.
Yeah.
With your work, what would you say? I mean, yours it sounds like it's kind of goes both ways as well.
Yeah, with me, it's like the story that I want to tell will dictate what it needs to be made out of,
Yeah,
and what that form is. That's most of the time is how I create. But then I also do certain things where I'll just experiment with saying like, okay, this is what I have in the studio right now. Let's make something from what I have,
yeah,
and have a message behind it and something. That's another way I do it. And then also, I mean, not as often, but I'll have just a couple of different parts and just kind of figure out how do I put these parts together so that
yeah,
it's something interesting. And
yeah.
that that's more on the abstract scale, you know, when I'm doing more abstract pieces. But um, yeah, most of the conceptual pieces I have like something I want to say, like a narrative of something, and then I put that together, find the objects that go together, or the form, or the material.
How do you come up with your narratives on things? Like what kind of drives your narrative? Like do you like how does it sort of come to you, or you is there a story you want to tell with it? Like how does that process work for you?
It's basically different conversations that I want to have with the viewer, or even sometimes conversations that I have with myself, or feelings that I have. So it's kind of like
Yeah.
a something that I just want to share.
Yeah.
Um, uh, Sometimes it's things that I see that kind of make me think of an object or a piece of art that would be, you know, something interesting to
Yeah.
look at. So it comes from all over
Yeah.
for the most part, you know. But like for instance, I had a conversation with my brother-in-law. It was quite a few years ago, but we were talking about still life paintings, and the the idea of still life mostly is represented in a painting.
Yeah.
And after that conversation, I was like, you know, I think still life could be represented in sculpture as well. So the very next weekend, I started a sculpture series there were shelves, and then there were still lifes of like a banana on a shelf,
Yeah.
a dead bird on a
Yeah.
shelf, and you know something else that was on the shelf, and that was like it was a still life 1, 2, and 3. So it's like
Cool.
you could just experiment with just
Yeah.
all sorts of different ideas like that. So
And when you get your piece, because again, like with the story involved with the piece, that's one of the things I've found with some of the pieces. And again, a lot of the pieces they're all different, right? But some of them have more of a story. Some of them have a story. I really want to get that story out there along with the piece.
mhm.
How do you find? I mean, what's been your best way to kind of? A lot of these pieces have significant story associated with it. How do you get that out there to like to the audience to be able to see it? Is it in the write up with it, or do you have other
Yeah.
ways you like to do that?
Yeah, it's in the write up. Say, like if I do a social media post on Instagram or something like that, I'll have a little bit of description of what that's about.
Yeah,
Most of the time, though, it's just the title and dimensions if it's on my website. Um, Sometimes I do have a little space on some of the larger pieces where I talk about the the message behind it, where it's located and things with public art. But yeah, sometimes it's also if it's in a show, they have a little didactic of what
yeah,
it's about. But most of the time, it's not really expressed, and that's okay because a lot of times people put their own message and meaning behind
yeah,
something,
yeah,
and it could be completely different from mine, and
yeah,
that's
yeah,
okay. You
and
know,
that's
it's
okay.
like
Yeah,
it's not wrong. It's good.
that's
It's
some
good.
of the beauty of art. Really, it's kind of an interpretive. Like it's different people's interpretations of things based on their life experience.
Yeah, yeah, for
So,
sure.
that's cool.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, because you do a variety. I mean, you do the abstract and more realistic kind of stuff. I'll tell you, a lot of people that don't do art look at abstract as like, oh, abstract, you just put shapes or whatever. Abstract's very hard to do
Yeah,
well, and
yeah.
you do it well.
Oh,
And it's
thank you.
where it's got flow, where it's got feeling, where it's got it's a very hard thing to render that well.
Mhm.
Like when you're doing your abstract work, what do you like? What are you kind of trying to capture in some of that? Like, is it a feeling, or like what's kind of the driving narrative with some of your abstract work?
The driving narrative for that is mostly form,
Yeah,
yet behind the form, there's like these little messages and things that I kind of reference to. Abstract is is kind of funny. It's actually easier to sell. People understand abstract more so than the conceptual pieces.
interesting.
Yeah, which is kind of crazy because
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
one has so much more meaning and message, but the abstract just uh, because I think because it's directed by form, it's just like this form that just is nice to look at.
Is
And
it because it's a more open interpretation for people, so people can identify
oh
it in a
yeah,
more like in a there's more freedom to identify it with it in the way
Right.
that you see it.
I think so. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. You know, I'll do different sculptures that are like kind of stacked pieces or multiple pieces, and then some with a slit through them so you could see through the sculpture. And I'll put these little boxes into the face of the sculpture, and that's a kind of the thing for me is like the proper perspective. These slots have kind of like a channel, like a perspective
Yeah.
channel, and the boxes that are in the face is like kind of put what you think in the artwork in that little box. And so I'll do things like that
Cool.
to add a little bit of more story to it.
Yeah.
But it's yeah, it's mostly the form, just flowing forms and just things that are zen-like, peaceful, you know.
Yeah. I love the piece. So just for anybody that's out there, you've got a permanent piece at the Festival of the Arts.
Oh yeah.
It's a beautiful piece
Yeah.
right there on the grounds. It's then be there forever. And I love the flow of that piece. That's got a really neat look to it.
Yeah, it was really cool. It was a great honor to have that piece there, and they gave me full license to do whatever I'd like to do,
Yeah.
and also with the placement there
Yeah.
as well. It was very cool.
It's very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that place, I look at I've been doing art since forever, right? But as far as like the actual, like the business, doing it and actually selling art and all that stuff, I mean, that all started when I got accepted into the Festival of the Arts.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
I didn't really, I mean,
Figure out
maybe
how to
dabbled in a few things here and there, but like all of a sudden I'm in the Festival of the Arts and it's like, I didn't have a website. I didn't have a web. I did nothing. Like I didn't even, I think I forgot to even put price tags on the pieces that I had in the festival. I just had them in there and I'm like, oh, okay, I guess I did it,
Yeah.
and it's like, but the whole business end of the whole thing started when I got into the Festival of the Arts and it's, that's one of the primary shows I've done. I mean, it has been a great show and it's a really neat community to be involved in.
It really is. Before then, I had never been around that many artists day
Yeah.
in, day out. So being able to have that community to talk to and to support you, and that was helpful. And we just fed off of each other,
Yeah.
So it's really important, I think, to be around other artists for just all sorts of little information bits
Oh,
and
it's
pieces.
huge. Yeah.
Even pricing,
Pricing is one of the hardest things.
Right.
I've told this to somebody, God, maybe just the other day. Like they asked, "What's the hardest?" I go, "The hardest thing still is pricing,"
Yeah.
because it's like it's hard. I mean, it's easy to not because this all comes from like we can just do it, right? And so it's really easy to devalue what you are able to do because you just do it, But it's a very unique, special thing that there's nobody you can't get it anywhere else, And so it's definitely that was a tough one for me, and especially I mean coming from, like I mean we didn't have that much money necessarily. I mean I didn't come. We're not super wealthy. Like money was never like something that just I had in abundance. Still don't, but it's one of those things like putting a price tag on this stuff is like it's a
Yeah.
tricky thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. Yeah. Yeah. I have like a formula that I kind of use with the cost of goods and
Yep.
we go down all the cost of labor and all
Yep.
that. So try to keep it consistent in what the formula kind of puts out.
Yep.
But you have to constantly adjust it, especially with inflation and other things.
Well, bronze has been brutal lately.
Oh, it's so tough.
It's been brutal. I mean, in the last 10 years, it's gone way up. So yeah, that's, I had for a while there, it was like, I'd have to buy, if I had a project that involved bronze, I'd have to buy the bronze right when I got the deposit, because if I waited it seemed like the price would almost double. And then it's like it cuts into any profits or that you'd be
for sure.
making.
Yeah.
So it's a tricky one. It's definitely a tricky one.
It's tricky for sure.
Well, so when you were starting out, so you kind of started like me, where the festival was kind of your starting point for your sculpture stuff. How did that go? So you did the festival, and then did it sort of just kind of grow organically over to like how did you grow it to the point where because you're doing this is your this is your full
Yeah. Yeah.
this is how you support yourself.
Yeah.
So what was the path from like starting to getting it to where it actually had legs and was like your primary income?
Yeah. I did uh, initially, when you're at the festival, you have your guest book and you're constantly there talking to people. And there's some people that liked a piece and they would come back, a couple years, and then they'd purchase something or want to commission something. So I just started with just one commission here, a sale here, and just kept building from there, making other smaller pieces and things. And it's just kind of, it's a slow build, but it's like you have to just keep keep getting the word out, keep talking to people, keep putting yourself into places where there's art lovers, people that appreciate art. I did I met a couple of curators, and also like um, people that placed art for cities and things. So I did a couple of different large public pieces, and that helped a lot, with like in between the festival downtimes, I would do public installations. And those are, bigger ticket items, and they takes a lot longer to build those. So that kept me busy throughout. And you from there, just when I had the time, building pieces in between. So yeah, just it was definitely a slow build. And nowadays I think using social media and things like that uh, is really much more helpful. I didn't do so much of that. I mean, it wasn't around back in
Yeah.
2000 as much, and or at least I didn't use it.
I was a late adopter. I'm still a
Yeah,
late adopter
yeah,
of pretty much everything. So
it's crazy.
I fought social media for a while where I'm like, I don't want to do this. Like it, and then eventually my wife's like, hey, you're stupid if you don't do this. Like
Right,
this is
right.
it's free advertisement. It's how everybody finds stuff and sees stuff. And the what we're in is a very visual medium. So
Right.
for in something like Instagram, I mean, it's a kind of a no-brainer in a
All right, you
sense,
have to, yeah,
so you have to kind of embrace it.
yeah,
And she was
yeah,
right
yeah.
ultimately.
Oh, all right, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah, myself, I was kind of always a private person, I just keep things to myself, but
Yeah.
that doesn't work in these days,
No, it
It's
kind
like,
of doesn't. It's kind of finding that sweet spot of where you can still, you're not just, I don't know. There's some stuff about social media that is off-putting,
yeah,
like some of and there are definitely some personality traits that like it feeds into that, and I don't like that part of it, but I do think that like there's never been a better time to take control of your own narrative and to like educate your audience of people, like what goes into the work that you do.
yeah,
Like for example, like with this social media stuff and whatever, I mean, I'm doing blacksmith thing and wood carving and stone carving and all these different things, and they're interesting, and it's part of the process that you really, unless you know what goes into that stuff, you wouldn't know what goes into making some of these big pieces. And so I think that to be able to kind of show people the process a little, enough, like a little tidbits of the process, I think that it helps to kind of educate people and reinforce that value of like why this has value and why this
right,
is what
yeah,
it is,
right,
And I think, for sculpture work especially, I mean it's such loud, messy, hard work kind of stuff. I mean, it lends itself to
yeah,
all that visual.
right, yeah. It's such a long process that it's sometimes hard to document, because
Yeah.
after a while it gets kind of boring, right?
It
And
gets,
I've
yeah.
tried to
Yeah.
document making a piece, but then
Yeah.
it's like, okay, day 4 of grinding,
It
and
takes some
so
serious editing.
yeah,
You've got to
it
be
does.
really, really do some
Right.
some serious editing to
Yeah.
make it an
Yeah.
interesting thing, because sometimes it is a long, crazy
Yeah.
process.
Even from the very start of doing the wax
Yeah.
per se, or be making it in clay, and that's how you do it, right? You use clay and then make molds, or
Mine's all
it's
fabricated.
all
So yeah,
fabricated.
so
Okay.
I've done a few things where I've made the piece and then have it molded. It depends on the project, really.
Yeah.
Most of the stuff I do is fabricated. So it's all, it's hammered and bent and
Yeah.
for the metal work
Yeah.
part of it.
That's cool.
Um there's pluses and minuses to all of it. I mean, the fabricated's kind of nice because I have total control throughout the entire process on it, right?
Yeah.
And but I do like, with the cast stuff, it is nice to be able to have something where I can potentially, you put in all the work and then you can actually make another one
Right.
and do that as well. I mean, there's and I think for me, especially depending on what I'm trying to capture, like like for example, like the lobsters that I do.
Hmm.
The fact that it's all hammered out of sheet material and it's kind of put together like a suit of armor, it lends itself to look like that exoskeleton on a
Right.
lobster because
Yeah.
it's basically a suit of armor.
Right.
And so that technique really works well to capture, an arthropod with that exoskeleton. But like, like a piece over there that's a sea lion, it's got fur, it's got these flowing lines and smooth curves and all that kind of stuff. That one really lent itself more to being cast because I could sculpt it out of in that case foam,
Mhm.
and then cast it. And in the bronze, it's good in bronze, but it captures that kind of that's flowing smooth lines,
Yeah.
which fabricated just doesn't quite do that
Yeah.
in that way.
Yeah.
It's just a different look. So
Right.
it's nice to be able to kind of cherry pick these different things,
Yeah,
but
that's good.
it's but I mean, you're doing cast and fabricated and
Cast and
mix and
fabricated.
mix
Yeah.
and match, and then some pieces have cast elements and
Yeah.
fabricated.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. The piece in front of the police station was exactly that. It's like the sides are cast and
Yep.
then the tops and the ends are fabricated. I just like that kind of the smooth, clean look next to all this texture. It's kind of gets a modern feel to
yeah,
it. And,
it's cool. Yeah,
yeah.
it gives it an interesting look, and I do think that they both have different looks, and I think to have a lot of different things to be able to pick from, and that's partly why. I mean, again, like working in woods, different species of woods, different types of metals, different types of stones. I mean, it's a lot of different tools and it's a lot of different processes and a lot of different things, but I don't want to be limited by the materials
Mhm.
to be able to tell the story I want to tell,
Right.
and
Yeah.
I think you're in the same boat where it's like, you got a story you want to tell. What's the best materials? What's the best process? What's the best look to be able
Yeah.
to tell that story?
Yeah. Yeah. I saw on one of your pieces that you had used platinum, and I was like, oh, thinking, I don't have a story that I could tell with platinum. I need to figure one out.
There's
Was it platinum or something else?
no, not platinum. I think maybe the titanium
Oh,
might
titanium.
be. Yeah,
That's
yeah,
what it was. Yeah.
yeah. The titanium is, titanium's a kind of a pain in the ass to work
That's
with.
what I heard. Yeah.
It's a pain. It doesn't. You can't weld it like like you can weld steel and bronze together, no problem.
Yeah.
Titanium will only weld to titanium, at least in my experience.
Yeah.
And it's temperamental. It's hard,
Yeah.
but the colors I can get on it, the fact that first off, it doesn't ever tarnish or corrode, which is for a lot of my stuff's coastal or
Mhm.
going to coastal locations. It's nice to have something that you do it once and it's done and it's good. And also a lot of the stuff, I mean, a lot of the bronzes and the steels and the woods and the stones, and it's all kind of earth tones.
Mhm.
But the titanium, like the butterflies, they're behind you. Like they're,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
I can get all sorts of crazy colors, and it's like one of the few ways that I can incorporate colors into
Yeah.
some of the pieces.
Without
So
painting it.
without painting, and
Yeah.
again, like I like doing it once,
Yeah.
and then I like for things to have as little maintenance required as possible.
Yeah.
Because oftentimes, I mean, I don't know about your experience, but I've found that if there's maintenance involved, it just doesn't get done generally.
Yeah.
And so then the piece starts kind of over time looks deteriorated
Right.
because the paint peels or whatever it is, So the titanium, once it's done, I mean, it's forever.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
great.
So it's kind of fun. Yeah,
Yeah.
I could see
Yeah,
you
it is.
incorporating that into
Yeah,
some of your stuff
something,
if
maybe
you
one of
need the
these days.
little color or something in
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. I've never really liked painting anything either. Just because of
Yeah.
that, I like the natural aspects
Yes.
of materials, whatever they are. So, yeah, it's a cool thing. Yeah, well,
Yeah. Well, again, it's
yeah,
there's a lot of options out there.
right.
But and then as far as like getting your work out there, are you doing a lot of stuff with galleries or are you selling directly? Like what's most of your stuff? Are you doing mostly commission stuff? I know you've got some commissions going.
Yeah, I've got some commissions going. It's uh, I think a mix of everything,
Yeah.
really. You know, I'm with Salt Fine Art here in Laguna, and they've been moving some pieces for me. And outside of that, I do have commission pieces that are from direct to either the end client or through designers or decorators.
Yeah.
Um, and then sometimes I'll get a project through a builder that has a special bronze element that they need in their home, be it a door handle or front entry pull or something like that. I did a custom address for a client. She did some other pieces so I did her address
It's fun
in
doing all
bronze.
those
Is
things.
kind of cool,
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I think it's neat. Well, I think incorporating little elements of art into wherever you can.
yeah,
I mean, I've got a few art pieces there that I've purchased or traded for or whatever over the years, and I'll tell you, I mean, it's nice having that in the house, in your environment that you live in. There's some pieces. I mean, it's like every time I look at it, it's like a little sip of coffee. It's
yeah,
like that little. It's like a little buzz of happiness.
yeah,
And it's like that's. I think that's really some of the lasting value of art, and to have that
yeah,
in our. I mean, I try not to be inside the house as much as possible. I like being outside doing stuff, but you still, regardless, you spend a lot of time in our little environment in there, and
mhm.
to have that be an environment that is like uplifting is really cool. And
Oh
that's where
yeah,
like the little art accents, no matter how big or small, like it's if it makes you happy, it's a good thing.
yeah, yeah, for sure. That's kind of really the joy in doing art is seeing the appreciation of it through others,
Yeah.
be it an indoor piece or outdoor piece, and hearing what that makes them feel like.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
It's a
It's
very
very rewarding.
unique position to be in for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
truly,
No,
truly.
I agree with that. I appreciate it as well. So are you where are people finding your work nowadays? Because you're not doing the festival anymore for a
No,
while now.
right.
What shows are you doing shows, or is your
I've done
work out
some,
there?
yeah, I've done some exhibits,
Okay.
different exhibits. I had an exhibit a couple years ago at the Laguna Art
I
Museum.
remember that. Yeah, that
Yeah,
was great.
yeah, thanks.
Was
And
that a pretty did that end up being a pretty good thing
yeah,
in
yeah,
terms of getting the word out and
it was really good. Yeah,
awesome.
really great. And I'm out there as far as just my website and different social media. Kind of
Yeah.
easy to find.
Yeah.
And I try to just get out as much as I can. Like things
Well,
like this is
yeah, well this is
probably
fun, and I think it's neat for people to be able to I like these long format conversations about it. I think it's neat for people to get to like hear your voice and hear your take on what you're doing and all that kind of stuff. I think it's really fun for people.
yeah,
So, well, and also, I mean, I've found that a lot of these, especially sculpture, is nice for this because you can have a big public piece out there, and that piece is basically a billboard that's making sales for you forever.
yeah,
I mean, some of the best, I mean, I would say some of the things that have really helped with my career has been some of these pieces like that octopus I did up above
oh yeah,
Divers Cove.
yeah.
That was one that really it really kind of it was an accelerant for getting the business,
Oh, that's
getting
great.
this going. There's so many people that see that piece. It's out there. It's part of people's daily
Yeah,
walk or whatever, and they come into contact with it, and then I get a phone call about it. I mean, it's led to a lot of the marketing value of having
that's
these
great.
pieces out there is huge.
Yeah,
And you're in the same thing. I mean, you've got a bunch of
yeah,
public pieces out there in the world. I mean,
right.
have you found that to be the case as well, where it's led to a lot more stuff?
Yeah, it has led to people contacting me for sure. My first public piece called Repose. Um, I was just recently talking to a person at the physical therapy place, and he was looking at my website, and I was like, "Hey, man, I was right there last week." You know,
Yeah,
uh, enjoying that piece.
It's an
So,
experience for
so it really
people.
is. It's
Yeah.
very cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, it's nice to be in that position to have something that you've created so many years ago still in the public sphere, even,
Forever.
yeah,
Yeah.
when we're dead and gone, it's still going to
Yeah.
be there. And
That's a special thing. I mean, again, in
yeah,
this throwaway society we live in, to have something that's going to be around,
yeah,
in perpetuity is pretty cool.
right. That's another reason why I like working in bronze is because of its longevity.
Yeah.
And so, if I'm going to do something, it's going to be, I'm hoping that it's relevant and significant enough to be around because the material I'm creating it in is going to be around a long
Yeah, it's a
time. So,
forever material.
so that's why,
Yeah.
I like that material as well.
Yeah.
So
In your space, so you were telling me a little bit before we started about your workspace.
mhm.
So you're working, you've got quite a bit of outdoor space to work in. I mean, tell everybody a little bit about the space that you're working in.
Yeah. Well, I was kind of looking around Laguna Beach and just kind of started just getting a little further and further out. And I found a piece of property that's in Corona. It's like 4.5 acres. And on it, I have built my studio, which is a couple of shipping containers with a concrete floor in between, and
Yep.
got solar power. And
Oh, cool.
I'm able just to work in the middle of nowhere, and
Yeah.
it's nice and quiet. It's on a hill, so it's visually pretty nice too. And
That's awesome.
along with creating art, I like just growing things and farming a little bit. So I've got a bunch of fruit trees and vegetable gardens, greenhouse, and
Oh, that's cool. A
raised
little
chickens
oasis.
and things. Yeah, so
Where do you live? Where are you
I live
living?
in Laguna. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So
So
it's a bit of what's the commute? I mean, that's a
it's about 50 minutes.
yeah.
It's not so
So
bad.
not
So
horrible.
it's kind of
Yeah.
easy these days. It's like,
Yeah. Yeah. So that's cool. So you've got you've created an oasis to
yeah,
work in. That's
yeah.
awesome.
So it's enjoyable to be there, not just for the art and to create, but just for all the things I'm growing, the plants
Yeah.
and trees and fruit trees
Oh,
and
that's
things.
awesome.
Yeah,
That's awesome. And how many days a week are you creating and working? Like what's your work schedule like?
it's changing
I
week
guess
by
that's a
week.
tough question
Yeah,
with
yeah.
people ask me and it's all I mean I'm basically working most every day on some level, but it's
Yeah,
all over the place.
it is. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
but most of the times I do have to get out there at least 4 times a week.
Yeah.
Every other day.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, and also like you, depending on the project, sometimes I'm there every single day,
Yeah.
7 days a week, and
Yeah.
then you can take a breather for a couple days. But yeah, it's there's so much to do that I find myself even sometimes going out there just for half a day.
Yeah.
That's not a big deal anymore. It's kind of
There's no shortage of
worth it.
work. I mean, how much of your time is spent on all the like the business end of things, like the administrative marketing? I mean, what kind of marketing kind of stuff are you doing on your end?
With marketing, it's more like a direct contact. Sometimes it's cold calls, cold emails.
Yeah.
Um, and I would say I could do a lot better with that too.
I
That's
think
like
we
kind of
all
where,
kind of feel that
yeah,
way, but
yeah,
it's I mean, you could put 60 hours a week into just the business end of it
it really can. Yeah,
easily and then
yeah,
still feel like there's a lot more to
right,
do,
right.
I mean, that's the juggling act because it takes a lot of work and time to create these pieces and then there you also have to, run all the other parts of it.
Mm.
I ask partly just out of curiosity, just to if you got it for people to get tips for myself because
Yeah,
that's one of the hardest parts
yeah,
is juggling the business management part of it with the creation production part of
yeah,
it and then
yeah,
having it where they're both working
yeah.
symbiotically.
Right. I do find like the administrative stuff I try to get done really early in the morning before everyone else in the house is up.
Yeah.
Probably before coffee or later at night, and then I'll just kind of have the emails sent in the morning, something like that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like doing invoicing and things. So I don't
Yeah.
like to use that time, the middle of the day where it's like where I'm working
Yeah.
to do that because it's mostly at the computer at home or whatever laptop.
Yep.
So those are at the either the beginning or the ends, but then it's work in the middle
Yeah.
type of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And then as far as like, I mean, you're busy. You got a lot of stuff going. I mean, you're cooking on work stuff. I mean, it's going well. I mean,
Always.
where do you want to where do you want to take this thing? Like, would you like to? What's next for you? Like, what's a direction? I guess what's next in terms of where do you want it to go next? Like, what's the next challenge that you are looking at?
I think so. There's always been the desire and the dream to continue to build bigger and better pieces.
Yeah.
I think with what's going on right now, I'm creating these pieces, and sometimes they're in a show, and then they go into storage, and I'm creating more pieces, and then they go into storage. I think what would be a lot of fun is to just start moving some of those things, just the pieces, and that would give fuel to create bigger pieces.
Yeah.
And I think ultimately, I've always been inspired by Noguchi Gardens, like California Scenario. Have you seen that up in like Santa Ana?
No, I need to get up there.
Yeah, it's near the South Coast Repertory and all
Okay.
that. But it's like a art installation that's also a landscape installation, and that has always been the ultimate goal and
Yeah.
desire. I have done some landscape installations just that have been around the public sculptures that I've done, or just the private sculptures where it's like I'll design the sculpture and then also the plant choices
Yeah.
and the other things. But to do something on a larger scale,
To create
where
like an
an
experience.
experience where
Yeah.
there's large outdoor sculpture and gardens and paths to, that you're experiencing this, like pretty much what Noguchi Gardens did for me. It was like, I went in there. I don't know what was going on at the time, but I was kind of like agitated and stressed, and I walked in that place, and I just calmed down. I was like, wow, what is this place?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
kind of stumbled upon it as well.
Oh, that's cool.
And I thought, wow, this is totally transforming. I want to do this as an artist someday.
Yeah.
So that's the ultimate desire, to do large places like that, just wherever.
Well, there's something really neat about creating that, like having that living element to like there's a sculpture, but there's also the plants and the organic, like living element in there too. And like that they're complementary
Yeah.
in a sense to kind of
Yeah.
create
Yeah.
that experience. Cause I really think, I mean, I think with fine arts, I think that creating experiences is kind of the key to getting people engaged in art, because you look at, historically, I mean, art has been part of the human experience for as long as we've been human,
Yeah.
right? I mean, it goes,
Yeah.
there's cave paintings and stuff like that that are tens of thousands of years old that are very well, they're awesome.
Mhm.
And, you look at this stuff, but it's to kind of figure out a way to sort of create this like an experience out of it, which, like music has modernized pretty well to create an experience. These concerts and there's a lot of different avenues to be able to have that, to get that experience with music, right? Which is a art form, one of the big art forms. Theater, the theatrics, and obviously movies and TV and all that stuff is modernized very well.
Yeah.
And going to the theater, seeing these movies, that's an experience for people. Fine art, it's like it hasn't quite modernized in the same way as the other two, in the sense where like there's shows and that's an experience, but it's like to have those, to create those, like an experience that's more than like, oh, there's a cool piece, like, but to have something that's an immersive experience. I think there's something to be said for that. And I think that people are drawn to finding that experience. Like you said, you go into the Noguchi Gardens and you're, maybe in a bad headspace or whatever, and you have that experience, and it kind of takes you
Right.
into a good place,
Yeah.
and kind of it takes you on a journey. So I think that's a cool aspiration.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. I have seen different like LED light installations at different places and things, and those are cool too.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a goal of mine, something I'll
Yeah.
probably, you know,
I
find the
think it's
right place.
cool. It's a tricky one with sculpture because it's the cost of materials and the cost of doing it is so
Yeah,
high
yeah,
that to have like that much volume,
yeah,
it's tricky. So
yeah.
it takes, I mean, it takes some, it just takes some,
Take some
it
sponsors
takes
or
some sponsorship or something. But
people that have the same vision.
yeah, but I think it'd be an awesome thing. I'd love to see that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. That's so
One of
cool.
these days, I'll show you what I'm working on. And
Yeah, yeah. Well, it sounds like I
like,
mean, you obviously, with your workspace is already kind of in a sense gone down that path a bit because you do have, you have all the plants, you've got your gardens, you've got your workspace,
yeah,
and so you're kind of immersed in that to a certain extent on
yeah, kind
already
of.
on it,
Yeah,
on your
yeah, for
own.
sure. It's like I'm practicing,
You're
you know.
practicing. Yeah,
Yeah,
you're gearing up
yeah,
for
getting
for
up.
the big one. Yeah.
Yeah, growing.
That's cool.
Yeah,
That's cool. Well, I'll tell you. Well, it's just so fun to sit down and talk with you. Like I said, I've been a fan of your work for since I first saw it when I first
yeah,
started the
yeah,
festival, and it's been really neat to just kind of go and talk with you about your work and your vision,
yeah.
and
Thanks.
to be able to share it with people.
Yeah,
So
same here, man. I really appreciate your work too. It's always have. So, you know.
yeah, well, it's been awesome. So thanks for taking the time. I really appreciate you coming down
Yeah, for sure.
and hanging out and we'll do this again soon.
Anytime. Yeah.
Awesome.
All right. Cool, man.
All right. Thank you. All right. Thanks for joining me today. This has been a really fun getting to have these discussions. If you want to get the podcast out there and share it with your friends, I'd really appreciate it. And please like and subscribe. These are fun and important conversations with creatives, and I think it's great to get it out there with our community. So thank you very much.